All right, so the recording has started. So let's dive into today's lecture. I hope you remember from the last class, we discussed about, when can you apply machine learning? When is it suitable to apply machine learning, right? This is something we discussed in the last class. মনে আছে এটা সবার নাকি না?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
Right, good. So that's the main idea we wanted to discuss in the last class. Yeah, when is it suitable for us to apply machine learning? You don't want to apply machine learning for every problem that you have, right? Okay. There are problems where you do not require machine learning, then do not apply it. Okay. All right. So we discussed this in the last class. So I hope you remember that. So we discussed about that. When should you apply machine learning? We discussed about data set. What do you mean by data set? Why do we require data set? Okay. And we say that in machine learning, this is an example of a data-driven computing where we try to learn, or basically you design a learner, or you create a learner which learns from the data, from the examples that you give. Okay. Rather than in the, traditional way of programming where you actually specify the rules, like if this condition is true, then that, otherwise this. Rather than that, you provide data sets. You provide a lot of data, and from that sample examples, your learner starts, learning about the data set. Okay, learning about the features and relationships and stuff like that. Okay, we'll talk more about that. How does it learn? What does it learn, and stuff like that. Okay. So that's where machine learning, that's how machine learning is used. Okay, right. Okay. So we discussed what is machine learning. We gave some examples, right, where we can apply machine learning and stuff like that. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about different kinds of, or different types of learning we can have. Like we say machine learning. So there's a learner that learns. So what are the different kinds of learning that we have? So we're going to start discussing about this one first today. Okay. All right, so let's begin. So different kinds of learning. So over this course, you're going to learn a number of, algorithms, a number of learning algorithms. And what happens is your machine learning, these algorithms helps your machine to learn something from the data set. Okay, we'll see when we look into each of these algorithms, right? Now, it turns out, there are different machine learning algorithms. Now, it turns out that there are broadly, three kinds of learnings that we have. Okay, so the different learning algorithms that you have now, if you try to broadly categorize them, you see that there are three kinds of learning in a broad sense. Okay, one of them is called supervised learning. Okay, then we have got something called unsupervised learning, and then there's something also called reinforcement learning. So there exists broadly three kinds of learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. Of course, there are other variations as well, like there's something called semi-supervised learning as well. In this course, we will probably not have, time to look into reinforcement learning. That's different, but we are mostly going to discuss these two kinds of learning. Okay, learning we're going to look at a lot in this particular course. So we're going to look at a lot about supervised learning, and we're going to also see what's in unsupervised learning. Okay, right? Okay, so let's try to understand the differences between these kinds of learning. So here's an example of a supervised learning. So let's try to understand what is supervised learning. Okay, now in supervised learning, what happens is the algorithm builds a mathematical model from a set of data that contains the inputs and the desired output. Now, let me try to explain this one. Imagine you have got a data set. Now, this is a toy data set. Now, the reason why we're saying it's a toy data set, because you see the number of, how many data are there in this data set? What can you see? How many data are there in this data set?
14.
Just 14, right? And 14 is what? A large number of data, small number of data, or medium size data set?
Small.
Very small, very, very small. So that's why I'm saying it's just a toy data set. Okay, all right. Typically in machine learning, you'll see, much more number of samples in the data set, right, than 14. Okay, so it's a very small data set. Now look at over here what we have. So there's this guy called John. Okay, let's imagine there's a person called John, And what John does is John plays, let's say, golf. Okay, he plays golf outside. In some days he plays golf. In some days he does not play golf. Okay, let's imagine John has a friend called Harry. Okay, and Harry wanted to understand John bit better, like when John wants to play golf and when John does not want to play golf outside. Okay, so that's what Harry wants to predict. Okay, so what Harry did is Harry observed John for 2 weeks. That's 14 days. Okay, all right. So Harry observed John for 14 days, and for each day he saw whether John goes out and play tennis or golf, whatever it may be. Okay, right. So, for example, on the first day, okay, the day when Harry started measuring, observing John, and the first day, John did not play the golf outside. On the second day as well, John did not play golf outside. On the third and fourth day, John played golf outside. Fifth day as well, he played golf outside, and so on. Clear, Nakana? Is that okay? Right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to know, okay, all right, when does he play or when does he not play? When does he prefer to play golf outside or when does he not prefer to play golf outside? So what he did as well, he measured other attributes as well. So for example, he saw, okay, how outlook look like? Well, is it sunny outside? Is it rainy? Is it overcast? Okay. So he looked at, okay, how does it look outside? Okay, is it sunny? So he ticked it. He actually observed that, okay, on the first day, it was sunny. And he also saw the temperature. Is the temperature hot or cold or mild? Okay. So if he thinks, okay, today is very hot, so he just wrote that as hot. The humidity is high. Is it windy outside? It is not windy, so he wrote it false and so on. Clear, Nakana? Is that? So he observed certain things around, okay, and he also records whether John has played golf outside or not. Am I clear, Nakana? Is that okay? Now what he's going to do is, after these 14 observations, he can actually look at it closely, and he can see, he can start understanding, when is it probably John never plays golf outside. For example, look at this. Which are the places when John does not play golf outside? So these are first and second. Interesting pattern পাওয়া যায় নাকি? First and second, he did not play. This is another one. On the 6th day, he did not play golf outside.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a minute. On the 8th day, he did not play golf outside. Right? Okay. And on the 14th day, he did not play golf outside. So can you see, is there any commonalities here in this? The days when he did not play the golf outside? Is there any commonalities?
Humidity high.
Okay, you see humidity যদি high হয়, এই দুদিন humidity high, এদিন আবার humidity কিন্তু normal, right? না, right? এখানে আবার humidity high, humidity এখানেও high, right? আচ্ছা, so this is interesting, okay? But আবার এখানে দেখো, এখানে humidity high, but he played the golf outside, right? Okay, look at here. What about when it rains? It turns out when it rains, sometimes on some rainy days he did play golf outside, but on some other rainy days he did not play golf outside. What about wind? If it is windy, let's say true, no, true, no, true, yes, true, no. On some windy days, he did play golf outside. On some windy days, he did not play golf outside. Okay, right. So, is it possible that you observe this data and you can find certain rules out of that? আচ্ছা, এই দিনে, ঠিক আছে, outlook এরকম হলে বা temperature এরকম হলে অথবা outlook and temperature এরকম হলে, তাহলে he plays it or he plays it. He may not play golf outside, right? So, you may actually find certain interesting patterns. Clear, Nakana? Is that okay? Yeah. Right. So
Yes, sir.
over the next few classes, you will see how do we design certain learning algorithms which will help you to actually construct these sort of very interesting rules. Okay, we are going to very soon learn about something called decision tree, and you'll In decision tree, you'll see that from the data, it will actually figure out, okay, what are the rules, okay, kokon khelbe na, all those stuffs you will see. Okay, and we'll learn how exactly that when exactly he plays golf outside or when does he not play golf outside. So you see here you did not give the rules. Rather what happened is the learner has learned from the data certain rules. It figured out certain rules, and that's something interesting that we're going to look into. Okay, now a kind of learning, why do we call it supervised learning? There is a reason why we call it supervised learning. The reason why we call it supervised learning is this. If you look at over here, if you look at this toy data set, you will see there are very interesting things, these and this. Okay, what is this one? What is this column? Eta ki? A column ta ki? Can you tell me? This is the column. This is the column you're interested in, right? This is what you want to predict. Am I correct, Nakina? Okay, yeah. So this is the variable which is your target variable that you would like to predict. Clear, Nakina? Yeah. So that's your target variable that you wish to predict. What about these things? Ego the key. Any idea?
So variables.
So these are some factors maybe, right? Okay. These are certain factors which may or may not affect this target variable, right? Nakina, clear? So we call them in machine learning, we call them features. Is that okay, Nakina? What we call them? Features. Okay. So in this data set, we have some features and we have one target variable that we are interested to predict. Am I clear? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what happens is, if you think in this example, so in this data set, what happens is for each of these, instances, like this is the first instance, okay, we have given these are the features, and we are also telling what is the correct answer, right? That is no in this case. For the second feature, for the second instance, we are giving the features, and we are also telling that this is what John would do, right, Nakina? Clear? So here we are actually this is a labeled data set where we are telling the learner that this is what the John would have done. Clear, Nakina? Is that okay? So that's why we call it a supervised learning, as if there is a supervisor who is actually telling that for each of these features, okay, for these feature values or these feature sets, what is the correct value. Is that okay, Nakina? So correct output ta ki seta bole dicchi. From this one, the learner is going to learn. ঠিক আছে? Okay? Yeah, ঠিক আছে. What is the pattern and stuff like that. Is that okay? So in a data set, if we are giving you the target value, okay, the target variable in the data set, then what kind of learning we're looking into? We're looking into supervised learning. Am I clear, Nakina? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's a supervised learning. Okay, so and there exist many algorithms that use the supervised learning. Okay, and you learn these algorithms, like you learn about k nearest neighbor, you learn about decision tree. Okay, there are many algorithms you learn. Okay, all right, and all these ones are supervised learning. Why is it supervised learning? Because in a supervised learning, we are providing X, that's the feature set, and Y, which is the target value. Clear, Nakina? Is that okay? So in this example, what is X? What is the feature set?
So outlook, temperature.
Yeah, outlook, temperature,
humidity.
Okay, windy. Is it windy outside or not? These are the feature set that we're giving. So this is X. And Y, what is the thing that we are going to predict? We are going to predict whether John is going to play the golf outside or not. Clear? That's what we're gonna predict. So this is my target value. Is that okay? Right? Okay. So if you have a data set where you are both given X and Y, okay, for each of the instances, okay, that would be called supervised learning. So you're going to apply supervised learning there. Is that okay? So what kind of learning algorithms can you apply? You can apply supervised learning for those examples. I hope it makes sense, right? Does anyone have any questions?
Sir, I have a question related to this about deep learning. Sir, deep learning কি আমরা supervised learning structure use করি or এটা কি mix depend করে?
Sir, let's wait for that, ঠিক আছে? Because আমি তো we will discuss about neural network in this course, ঠিক আছে? তখন আমরা ওইখানে যাব। Don't worry about it now, ঠিক আছে? Okay?
Yes.
Right. আচ্ছা। Now, are we okay so far? এতটুকু ঠিক আছে নাকি না? কারো কোনো questions আছে বা hesitations আছে বা clear না জিনিসটা, stuff like that? Is this okay নাকি না?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Right,
Yes.
that's all right, right?
Okay,
So you
sir.
understood that. Okay. So this is your supervised learning. Now, I must tell you right over here. Now, this is very important that you understand this. Now, many of the projects that you do, or many of the places where you're going to apply machine learning, আপনার জন্য এত সুন্দরভাবে কেউ কোনো data set তৈরি করে রাখবে না, you know, খুব structured ভাবে, আচ্ছা, these are the features and this is the target variable, and then you do it and you apply the algorithms and you do it. Okay, in many real problem, ঠিক আছে, you will not have these sort of things. You will have to figure out what kind of features you want to look into, and you have to go on and collect the data and stuff like that. Yeah, did you understand that? Let me give one interesting example, ঠিক আছে? Okay, now you might notice, I don't know if you have noticed it or not. So you'll see that when you go to your Google Classroom, if you go to the Classwork tab, you'll see over here, I have uploaded some of the works that our students from this course have done, okay, and published the papers. So these are some of the papers that were published, right? That were published, which were the outcomes from this particular course, CSE 445, right? Thinking that, okay. So I just uploaded them sometimes later, or sometimes that I will probably refer to some of these things, or if we have time, I'll just briefly explain what each of these papers or what each of these works have done. There are many other works that they have done, but I did not upload all of them. Okay, this is just some sample works. Okay, আচ্ছা, আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল দেখাই, তাহলে হয়তোবা জিনিসটা একটু ইন্টারেস্টিং লাগতে পারে এখানে, ঠিক আছে? So I'll just show you one example from here. Let's take the example of this paper. ঠিক আছে? So this is a work that was like published in 2020. So that's the last year. ঠিক আছে? Okay. So I'll tell you, and he was doing CSE 445. So he actually, like, you know, this was one of his work. This is his project work. Okay, so I'll just explain what did he do. Okay, Acha. So you see, is there anyone who has published papers before? আমাদের এখানে কেউ কি আছে যে আগে কখনো পেপার পাবলিশ করেছে বা কিছু? Is there anyone? Did anyone work for publications or stuff like that? No.
Sir,
that's fine. Acha, good. Okay, so Mashfiq did some work. Acha, but at least আপনারা তো হোপফুলি কোনো না কোনো ধরনের কনফারেন্স পেপার কখনো করেছেন, তাই না? বা দেখেছেন অ্যাটলিস্ট চেহারাটা, দেখেছেন না?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the work that we gave him is interesting. The work we gave him was this, যে এমন কি করা সম্ভব যে কেউ একটা মেশিন লার্নিং এর পেপার লিখেছে, পেপার অন মেশিন লার্নিং, ওকে, এবং কনফারেন্সে দিয়েছে। পেপার দেখে কি বলা সম্ভব এই পেপারটা অ্যাকসেপ্টেড হবে কি রিজেক্টেড হবে? You know what I mean? So the input is a machine learning paper. ঠিক আছে? যেমন ধরেন আপনারা একটা প্রজেক্ট করলেন, একটা পেপার জেনারেট করলেন, you give the paper. Now the input is the paper দেখে the learner will tell, is it can it get accepted or will it not get accepted? ঠিক আছে নাকি না? So it's doing a classification. Is it a kind of paper that looks like it will be accepted in a top tier AI conference, or is it a paper that is unlikely to be accepted in a top tier AI conference? Is it clear নাকি না? Okay, বুঝতে পারছেন?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Right. So what we did is I gave Mikhail figured out that there is a একটা repository আছে. It's called peer read. You can see if you read this, যেখানে অনেক AI artificial intelligence কনফারেন্স পেপার আছে। এবং কিছু কিছু পেপার আছে যেগুলো কনফারেন্সগুলো হাই টায়ার কনফারেন্সগুলোতে অ্যাকসেপ্টেড হয়েছে, আর কিছু কিছু পেপারগুলো ওই টপ টায়ার কনফারেন্সে অ্যাকসেপ্টেড হয়নি। ইজ ইট ক্লিয়ার নাকি না? বুঝতে পারছেন? এখন এই যে এতগুলা পেপার আছে, দিস আর অল দি এক্সাম্পলস অফ দ্য পেপার, রাইট? সো উই নো দিস পেপার did not get accepted, we know this paper got accepted. So এটা কি মানে supervised না unsupervised মনে হচ্ছে?
Supervised.
Supervised. Why is it supervised learning? Why will it be supervised learning? Because for each paper we are giving the correct output. The correct output is yes, it is either accepted or maybe it is not accepted. Am I correct নাকি না? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But এখানে মজার ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে এই যে একটু আগে সুপারভাইজড লার্নিং এর কথা বললাম, এই টার্গেট ভেরিয়েবল y ছাড়া আর কি লাগবে জানি? What are the things I need?
Features.
Right. So what features can I take? What are the features can I take? আমার কাছে তো শুধু পেপার, একটা পেপারের ফিচার্স কি? তখন আমরা যেটা করলাম which was interesting, যে প্রত্যেকটা পেপারের একটা প্যাটার্ন আছে, তাই না? একটা আছে, কেমন কি কি প্যাটার্ন আছে? যেমন ফর এক্সাম্পল একটা টাইটেল আছে, রাইট? একটা অ্যাবস্ট্রাক্ট আছে, ক্লিয়ার? মেবি কিছু ছবি আছে, কিছু টেবিল আছে, রাইট? ওকে, তারপর কিছু ইকুয়েশনস আছে, রাইট? সো হোয়াট হি ডিড, হি স্টার্টেড লুকিং ইনটু অল দিস ফিচার্স এন্ড ফিগার আউট, আচ্ছা একটা পেপারের মধ্যে কি কি থাকতে পারে? একটা পেপারের মধ্যে there's a lot of things that are there, like for example if I could show like for example একটা পেপারের মধ্যে, if I can show you here, right, how many characters are there in the title একটা পেপারে একটা টাইটেল থাকবে, একটা টাইটেল তো কত লম্বা, ঠিক আছে? how many tables are there, how many figures are there, how many references are cited, ঠিক আছে? রেফারেন্স গুলার ভ্যালু কি, ঠিক আছে? ওকে, কত ভালো রেফারেন্স পেপারগুলো সাইট করা হচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে? এন্ড উই ফিগার আউট আ নাম্বার অফ থিংস, ঠিক আছে? সেগুলোকে আমরা ফিচার্স বলে, we figured out all the features, we extracted them, and we used that to actually then predict it, and it turns out roughly about sometimes 80% correct prediction করতে পারে, ঠিক আছে? It actually predicts with something like 80% accuracy, 79% accuracy, which is about 80% accuracy, ঠিক আছে? So with 80% accuracy it can predict that whether this paper is likely to be accepted in the top tier AI conference or not. Did you get that? So ekhane jemon for example in this example you don't have this such nice structure over there, but we figured out these features on our own. So sometimes these things would happen je apnar data set e erokom khub sundor bhabe structured way to nai, but you need to figure this out. Clear na kina? Is that okay? So we just wrote Mikhail did that. Mikhail wrote a simple Python script which actually enabled to actually collect these features from those repository. Is that okay, Nakira? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I hope you understood what is supervised learning, right? Acha. Right, so this is what's happening. So in a supervised learning, what we give is a labeled data set. What data set we give? A labeled data set. Labeled data set মানে কি?
question আছে স্যার অ্যানসারও আছে
Exactly. It is labeled. We are labeling this data at this particular data. We are saying yes, it is accepted. No, it is not accepted. Yes, for these features, John is going to play golf outside, or he's not going to play outside. So you are given a labeled data set, and then once you have a labeled data set, you're going to apply a learning algorithm on that labeled data set. So once you have the labeled data set, you're going to apply a learning algorithm on that labeled data set, or you could say that we take this labeled data set and put it into a learning algorithm. And now there are different learning algorithms you'll learn. Don't worry about it. But the basic structure is you'll learn the data set using some learning algorithm. Now, once you have done that, what will it create? Any idea?
একটা মডেল তৈরি করবে স্যার
একটা মডেল তৈরি করবে, exactly, it will create a model, ঠিক আছে? Okay, so that's correct. Yeah, so what's happening, so you've got a label data set and you take that label data set. Okay, if you're, this is a British spelling, okay, You take a label data set, okay? You apply a machine learning algorithm. So machine learning algorithm. So you apply a machine learning algorithm, and there are many algorithms. We'll talk about it. After you apply the machine learning algorithm on that label data set, what it's going to create is it's going to create a model. ঠিক আছে? Now, what is this model? This model is some sort of mathematical but symbolic relationship between x and y. So সে বলবে এই x এর জন্য what is the corresponding y. ঠিক আছে? Is it clear নাকি না? Yes? Okay? So that's what it's going to do. It's going to figure out for what is the relationship between y and x. Clear নাকি না? So once you create a model, the model will now have a relationship of all these x1, x2 up to xn, if there are n features, and for each of the x's, what is the corresponding y. Clear? Is that okay, Nakina?
Yes.
It's going to figure that out. That's the job of a learner. Okay, right? So that's what it's going to do. Now, sometimes in machine learning, okay, this model is what is also referred to as hypothesis. Okay? Now, hypothesis, well, it's just it's probably not the best name. Okay, but it's something that historically it has been used and it's stuck as it is. Okay, so this model is sometimes what we also call the hypothesis. So what's happening in the supervised learning again? In a supervised learning, we have a label data set. Okay, then we train the label data set, okay, using some sort of learning algorithm. Okay, and once we have learned it, what it has created is it has created a model. That's what's going to do. So that's the objective. Now, of course, the next thing that you would also like to see, এই যে মডেলটা তৈরি করা হলো, এই মডেলটা আসলে কি কতটা ভালো? Is it a rubbish model or is it quite a good model? ঠিক আছে? So we need to, test the model as well, right? So that's what we do in that testing. This is like we're just evaluating the model. So let's not talk about this. So how do you, well, I can just simply say, how do you test it? So you test it using a new data that has not been present in the, training data. তোমার এমন একটা ডেটা ইউজ করছি যেটা ট্রেনিং ডেটাতে ছিল না, ঠিক আছে? কারণ যদি থেকে থাকে এটা তো অলরেডি ছিল, your model already, your learner already has seen that data. So you provide a new data and you see how well it will be able to correctly predict the for this new data that you're feeding to the model. Am I clear, Nakina? Is it predicting it with very high accuracy? Then it's a model that's predicting with very high accuracy, right? But if it turns out that it is predicting but not with such good accuracy, then it doesn't produce. It's not a high accuracy model. It's a low accuracy model, right, Nikina? Is it clear? Did you understand that so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the overall structure, and I'm going to, come back to this diagram again and again because this is the fundamental idea behind the supervised learning. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far?
Label data set যদি kindly আবার একটু explain করতেন।
Label data set মানে হচ্ছে এই যে এটা যে একটা data set যেখানে x আছে y আছে, that's a label data set. Okay, right? That means for each of the samples, we also have said what's the correct answer that we are trying to, predict. Is that clear, Nakina?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. Now, আপনাদের যদি লেবেলিং বুঝতে একটু কষ্ট হয়, আমি একটা খুব সিম্পল একটা এক্সাম্পল দিই. I think this example will clarify any doubts if anybody has. Okay, so let me start. Imagine করেন so let's say, okay, just let's imagine that sorry, we look at, we're trying to predict, we're trying to model a tumor, right? Okay, a model tumor means our tumor, we're trying to see whether this tumor is a malignant tumor or is it a benign tumor. Right? If it's a benign tumor, then it's not dangerous. But if it's a malignant tumor, then it could be potentially very dangerous thing. So something it's something very important, ঠিক আছে, to understand whether it's a benign tumor or a malignant tumor, ঠিক আছে. Let's we collected a data set. So data set ধরেন we had let's imagine we had just two features. একটা feature হচ্ছে let's say the age of the patient, আরেকটা feature হচ্ছে the size of the tumor. ঠিক আছে? Is this clear নাকি না? Okay, and we collected a lot of data. Okay, যে একটা particular patient age এবং what's the size of the tumor. So for example, let's imagine we get these as the data set. These as these data, right? Let's say for example, here's this one, here's this one, this one. These are different instances. Okay, plot free. Let's imagine this is particular. Okay, let's imagine this is here hearing something like this. Okay, okay. তাহলে আমাকে বলতে পারবেন এই ছবি দেখে আমার কতগুলো ইনস্ট্যান্স আছে এখানে? Instance মানে examples in or samples in the data set.
Peter, sir.
Huh? No, there are altogether 1, 2, 3, 4,
19.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are 20 samples. ঠিক আছে? Clear? আচ্ছা। Is that okay? তার মানে জিনিসটা হচ্ছে আপনার কাছে এরকম অনেকটা আছে। You have got patients, patient-এর age আছে, আর patient-এর কি আছে? The tumor detected হচ্ছে what's the size of the tumor? Size of the tumor আছে। Right? নাকি না? Clear? Is that okay? Okay. Now this is what you have. Now imagine করেন এই প্রত্যেকটার জন্য let's say age এত, size এত, age এত, size এত, হ্যাঁ, প্রত্যেকটা স্যাম্পলের জন্য, প্রত্যেকটা ইনস্ট্যান্সের জন্য, right? The doctor was correctly diagnosed যে এই টিউমারটা আসলে কি benign নাকি malignant. Am I clear নাকি না? Is that okay? All right. So he correctly identified if is it a benign tumor or is it a malignant tumor. Is that okay? নাকি না? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Imagine we have done that. So if the doctor has done that, now for you have got the age, size of the tumor, and you also know, okay, this is a benign tumor. The next one is a malignant tumor. The next one is a malignant tumor. The next one is a benign tumor. So you have that. So what kind of data set do you have right now?
Balance data set.
Label data
but
set.
Label.
it's a label data set.
Label data set.
Why is it a label data set? Because for each of the instances, we also know the correct output of that. Correct diagnosis number. Is it benign or is it malignant? Clear, Nakina? Is that okay? So
Yes,
that's a label data set. So for label data set, any label data set that you have, I'll write it down here. Labeled data set. For any label data set that you have, you need to have for each sample, okay, for each instance, okay, you know the features, you also know what's the corresponding output, right? The output that you're interested in. So the output that you're interested in is what? Whether the tumor is benign or malignant. So if you know that, so then you know the correct output as well. Clear, Nakina? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Understandable? So that would be called a label data set. It would be called a label data set because you not only know the features, okay, you also know the corresponding correct output. Okay? So if you know the corresponding correct output and this is in the data set, then it's a label data set. Is that okay, Nakina?
Yes, sir.
Okay. কিন্তু জিনিসটা যদি এরকম হয় যে ডেটা সেটটা এরকম না, এই যে ডেটা সেটটা আঁকলাম, ডেটা সেটটা এরকম না, রাদার ডেটা সেটটা হচ্ছে অনেকটা এরকম। লেটস জাস্ট ডু দিস। দেখাই, ডেটা সেটটা এরকম না, ডেটা সেটটা রাদার লেটস ইমাজিন দ্য ডেটা সেট ইজ লাইক দিস। কি হলো? Okay, got it. What is this data set? Can you tell me? What does it mean?
Scattered?
Huh?
Scattered?
No. এই ডেটা সেটে মানে হচ্ছে এখানে একটু আগে যে এক্সাম্পলটা ছিল কোন ডেটা স্যাম্পল গুলোকে ক্রস দিয়ে আমি মার্ক করেছি কোনগুলোকে নট দিয়ে বা সার্কেল দিয়ে আমি মার্ক করেছি। am I correct নাকি না? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cross মানে হচ্ছে মেবি benign আর সার্কেল মেবি malignant or the other way round, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে ক্রস আর নট যখন সাইন দিচ্ছি তার মানে কি I have correctly found যে এই স্যাম্পলটা কি আইদার benign টিউমারের জন্য না malignant টিউমারের জন্য। আমি কারেক্ট নাকি না? আর এই যে এরকম ডেটা সেট যদি পান এটা মানে কি কোনোটাকে কি আলাদা লেভেল করা হচ্ছে কোনো কিছু? সবই এক। সবই এক মানে হচ্ছে we do not have this column. We have not figured out, okay, whether it's a benign tumor or malignant tumor. ঠিক আছে? So is it a labeled data set now?
No, sir.
No. This time it has become an unlabeled data set. Correct? So difference টা হচ্ছে কি এই labeled data set-এ আপনি যেটা predict করতে যাচ্ছেন সেইটার answer গুলো আছে, right? For every instance you have the correct output or correct answer. ঠিক আছে? আর unlabeled data set হচ্ছে it's like you have some data set but you don't know what is what. কোনটা benign কোনটা malignant আপনার কোনো আইডিয়া নেই। ঠিক আছে? Right নাকি না? Clear? So that would be an unlabeled data set. Is that okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা।
Yes, sir.
Labeled data set clear তো unlabeled আমরা আরো আসবো কিন্তু labeled data set clear তো আমাদের এটা মানে কি?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Sure. Okay, great. So now, right, labeled data set and unlabeled data set. Right, labeled data set মানে হচ্ছে তাহলে in a data set you have the target variable that you want to predict that is also present here. ঠিক আছে? Okay, so that's what it is. Now, আপনারা কিন্তু এই কনফিউশনে থাকেন না যে কেউ যদি বলে স্যার কিন্তু হাউ উইয়ার্ড ইট ইজ, আমরা যদি কারেক্ট অ্যান্সারই জানি তাহলে আমার আবার প্রেডিক্ট করতে হবে কেন? আমি তো অ্যান্সার জানি, এরকম কি কারো লাগছে? হ্যালো?
No, sir.
না,
No.
কেন আমি বলি? সো ফর এক্সাম্পল এটা কি দিস ওয়ান, কাম ব্যাক টু দিস ওয়ান ওয়ান্স अगेन, ইজ ইট লেবেলড অর আনলেবেলড?
The label.
Label. Very good. Now let us say I want to predict. Okay, Harry wants to predict John. Let's say Harry wants to predict. আচ্ছা, যদি আউটলুকটা সানি হয়, টেম্পারেচার যদি কোল্ড হয়, হিউমিডিটি যদি লো হয়, আর উইন্ডি যদি ট্রু হয়, তাহলে কি উইল জন প্লে? এই এক্সাম্পলটা কি এখানে আছে দেখেন তো। সানি, এটা কি
না, sir.
এক্সাম্পল? সানি বাট এটা হট কিন্তু এটা কোল্ড। তো এক্সাম্পল এটা না। সানি হট এটাও না। সানি মাইল্ড এটাও না। আচ্ছা, সানি কোল্ড এটা একটা আছে, সানি কোল্ড বাট হিউমিডিটি হাই, এখানে হিউমিডিটি লো, তো এটাও হচ্ছে না। আর বা সানি মাইল্ড এটাও হচ্ছে না, রাইট? তার মানে এই এক্সাম্পলটা কি আছে? নাই। ঠিক আছে? বাট ওয়ান্স ইউ হ্যাভ ক্রিয়েটেড আ মডেল এবং এই তুমি যদি এরকম কোনো কিছু একটা দাও, ঠিক আছে, it will be able to predict whether under this situation is John likely to play or is John unlikely to play. Am I clear নাকি না? So that's why we actually make this model, because yes, we understand with this training data set we have been able to create the model, but then we can have new scenarios and we want to predict what would happen in that new scenario. For that new scenario, would John play the game or would John not go outside and play the game? Is that clear নাকি না?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So that's the reason why we actually do the modeling part. ঠিক আছে? Is that okay? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's, I hope this is clear, right? নাকি না? আচ্ছা, I want all of you to actually take some time, go to this link. ঠিক আছে? I'll give you 5 minutes. Go through this one, classificationটা পড়েন এবং go through this Wikipedia এই নোটটা, ঠিক আছে? I'll give you 5 minutes time and we'll come back after 5 minutes and discuss. Did you guys have the chance to look at it?
Yes, sir. Still on it.
Okay. What did you think?
এখন বোটানিস্ট তিনটা প্রজাতির ফুলের
আচ্ছা।
মধ্যে
Okay. Let me try to explain. ঠিক আছে? Let me try to help you out. তাহলে একটু ক্লিয়ার হবে। আচ্ছা, so far label dataset কি ক্লিয়ার তো সবার জন্য না নাকি না? ঠিক আছে? Okay. আচ্ছা। Is that okay? Label dataset কি?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you have label dataset, what kind of learning algorithms can I apply?
Supervised.
Supervised. So right now, I'm going to look into supervised learning only. We're not even talking about unsupervised learning right now. Okay? So let's look into supervised learning and let's see what is this supervised learning about. Okay. So here we are. স্যার আমার কথা হয়তো বা শুনতে আপনাদের একটু অসুবিধা হবে কারণ আমার এত ঠান্ডা লেগে গেছে হঠাৎ করে আমার কথা বলতে একটু অনেক সময় অসুবিধা হচ্ছে ঠিক আছে so if you are finding something difficulty to understand please just let me know ঠিক আছে I'll try my best ঠিক আছে okay because these are the fundamental concepts এগুলোতে এখন সমস্যা হয়ে গেলে পরবর্তীতে আরো সমস্যা হবে so it needs to be very very clear ঠিক আছে okay so let's look into supervised learning So here we are. I'm going to create hopefully a good map for you to understand. So you have learning algorithms or learning or what kind of learning? That's a machine learning. So you have a machine learning problem. Okay? Machine learning problem you want to solve. Most likely, it's either a supervised learning problem or maybe it's an unsupervised learning problem. Is that okay, Nakina? Clear? Yes or no?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now there is another one called reinforcement learning, but let's right now not talk about reinforcement learning. Okay? So let's imagine you have a machine learning problem that you want to solve, and it depending on the data set, it's either a supervised learning problem or an unsupervised learning problem. It's a supervised learning problem if the data set that you have is a labeled data set. Am I correct, Nakina? Yes?
Yes, sir.
However, if the data set is unlabeled data set, it's definitely an unsupervised learning problem. Is that okay, Nakina? Is that fine?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we are now not talking about unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning aro kichu ache ki bole uses ache, but we are not talking about unsupervised learning right now. Now let's focus on supervised learning. So let's imagine we have got a data set and it's a labeled data set, so it's a supervised learning problem. Now depending on what the problem is, okay, depending on what the problem is, okay, so supervised, first of all, supervised learning যে ডেটা সেট আছে সেটার জন্য আপনার কাছে x আছে এবং কি আছে y আছে am I correct নাকি না yeah
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay so now depending on the data set which we are going to talk about this is either a classification problem or it's a regression problem. ঠিক আছে? Okay? It's either a classification problem or a regression problem. ঠিক আছে? Is that okay, Nakina? All right?
Yes, sir.
So what is this classification regression? We're coming to that one. Okay. Now, so then we could actually have আমার কাছে হতে পারে আবার রিগ্রেশনেরও ডিফারেন্ট কাইন্ডস আছে we can have univariate linear regression multivariate linear regression polynomial regression let's not worry about that ঠিক আছে okay আচ্ছা so what is this classification and what's this regression let's try to understand over here so your supervised learning if it's a supervised learning problem then it's either a classification problem or a regression problem which you can see from here if it's a supervised learning problem then it's either a classification problem or it's a regression problem. So what's the difference between them? Now look at the classification problem. In a classification problem, the classification algorithms are used when the outputs are restricted to some discrete set of values. Okay, let me try to explain this one. এখানে আউটপুটটা কি x আর y এর মধ্যে আউটপুটটা কি what is the output that we're interested in?
Y output.
Y, correct. Now if this value of y is discrete, then this is a classification problem. But if this value of y is not discrete এর উল্টাটা কি? What's opposite of that?
Continuous.
Continuous. If the value of y is continuous, then it's a regression problem. ঠিক আছে? Okay, right? আচ্ছা, let's try to understand this one a bit. ঠিক আছে, আমাকে একটু দেখে বলেন, এই যে একটু জনের যে whether he's going to play golf offset or not, দেখে বলেন তো এখানে y কোনটা? Which one is y? Play. Is it a discrete or a continuous?
Discrete.
variable? Discrete, because the values are what? No or yes. Clear na kena? So it's a discrete, and discrete hole eta ki problem? Classification or regression problem?
Classification.
It is a classification problem. Very good. So you have understood that this is a classification problem. আচ্ছা, আমরা কি এখানে সবাই কি বুঝি discrete আর continuous এর মধ্যে পার্থক্য?
Yes, sir.
পার্থক্যটা কি বলেন? What does it mean discrete? আর ডিফারেন্স কি? discrete আর continuous
না হয় ওটা
Discrete আর
Continuous
কিছু থাকবে না।
বলেন continuous কি?
তো ফ্র্যাকশন নাম্বার কন্টিনিউয়াস হচ্ছে টাইম
বলো,
টু
বলো।
বা প্লেস অনুযায়ী ভ্যারি করে আর কি ওটার
discrete তো ভ্যারি করতে পারে, yes বা no হতে পারে।
Discrete হচ্ছে absolute value আর continuous can be within a range, like
discrete কে within a range হতে পারে না?
হ্যাঁ মানে within a range হতে পারে, but like it has to be an absolute integer.
ধর
whole
let's imagine this way, হ্যাঁ, আমার আমি কোন একটা কিছু ফুড টেস্ট করলাম, ঠিক আছে, ওকে, রাইট, খাওয়া খেলাম, খাওয়ার পর আমাকে বললো যে ফুডটাকে কেমন লেগেছে, এতে মার্কিং করো, মার্কিংটা হচ্ছে -3 -2 -1 সরি -1 0 1 2 3। সো আমার এইখানে এই -3 থেকে +3 এর মধ্যে একটা মার্কিং করতে হবে। এটা কি ডিসক্রিট সেট অফ ভ্যালুস না কন্টিনিউয়াস সেট অফ ভ্যালুস?
ডিসক্রিট।
So
ডিসক্রিট
এটা ডিসক্রিট, ওকে। আচ্ছা, আর যদি আমি বলি আমি যে আউটপুটটা চাইছি সেটা হচ্ছে -3 থেকে +3 পর্যন্ত, তাহলে কি এটা কি ডিসক্রিট না কন্টিনিউয়াস?
কন্টিনিউয়াস।
ওকে, সো ফার্স্ট অফ অল ডিসক্রিট এবং কন্টিনিউয়াস এর দুটোতেই কিন্তু একটা রেঞ্জ আছে। এমন না কিন্তু যে ডিসক্রিটের রেঞ্জ কন্টিনিউয়াস ক্যান গো infinitely, no, continuous এর একটা রেঞ্জ আছে -3 to +3, but what is the difference? The difference is discrete you can just pick within that range, you can pick some set of values, right নাকি না? You cannot pick all values. -3 থেকে +3 এটা রেঞ্জ আছে, but you cannot pick 0.5 because 0.5 is not an option. Clear নাকি না? Is that okay?
yes sir.
But continuous within that range you can pick any value you like. Is that okay নাকি না? ঠিক আছে?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's the basic difference. So for example, I mean, কিছু example, let's imagine you go to a shop, right, and you want to buy a pair of shoes. If you want to buy a pair of shoes, you just go to the shop, and you just wanted to buy a pair of shoes, and you ask the shopkeeper, I want to have ওই ধরনের একটা জুতো কিনতে চাই, and the shopkeeper asks you, okay, what's the shoe size? Tell me, this variable shoe size, is it a discrete or continuous? Shoe size.
ডিসক্রিট।
Discrete, because your shoe size can be 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5,
Continuous.
depend করে. No. Continuous হবে না. It can you go and say, acha, I want shoe size টা হবে 6.243549. হবে?
No, sir.
So you cannot pick any values. You can pick some values, right? So whenever you can pick some set of values, not all the values, it's discrete, correct? Like for example, you can pick values from -3 to +3 in this example, but can you pick every values from -3 to +3? No, you can pick some of the values. You can pick 0, but you cannot pick 0.5. You can pick -2, but you cannot pick -2.5. Although -2.5 is within the range, but you still cannot pick it. Clear, Nakina? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So even within the range, if you cannot pick all the values, if you can pick some of the values only, certain values only, then it is discrete. Clear, Nakina? Is that okay? Yeah? I hope I make sense, right? ঠিক আছে সবার? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
আচ্ছা, আরো এক্সাম্পল বলতে থাকলে আরো ক্লিয়ার হতে থাকবে, ঠিক আছে? এই যে একটু আগে যে এই যে আমার প্রিভিয়াস স্টুডেন্টের পেপার ওয়ার্কটা দেখালাম, ঠিক আছে, যেখানে he looks at different academic papers and figures out is this paper মানে will this paper be accepted in a top tier AI conference or not, ঠিক আছে? এটা কি মনে হয়? Is it a classification problem or is it a regression problem? Classification problem. Why is it a classification problem? Because the output that we want to predict is whether the paper is going to be accepted or not. So এটা কিন্তু দুটো state, accepted or not accepted. So যেহেতু দুটো state, it is discrete value, so it's a binary classification, right? Discrete মানে এরকমই না যে দুটোই থাকবে, তিনটেও হতে পারে, চারটাও হতে পারে, no, it doesn't matter, but the most important bit is it should be discrete. Clear nakina? Is that okay? Understandable?
Yes, sir. Yes,
আচ্ছা,
sir.
আরেকটা এক্সাম্পল দেখাই আপনাকে, তাহলে জিনিসটা ক্লিয়ার হবে, ঠিক আছে? ওকে, ফর
sir.
এক্সাম্পল, হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা,
Page verification.
এই এক্সাম্পলটা দেখে নিই, তারপর আসছি, ঠিক আছে? এই এক্সাম্পল দেখে নিই, হ্যাঁ। এই যে এখানে here's a group of students, তারা একটা কাজ করেছিল। কাজটা হচ্ছে they were forecasting sea level rise using machine learning techniques. Machine learning technique use করে, ঠিক আছে, কোন বছরে কোন দিনে সি লেভেল কতটুকু থাকবে সে প্রেডিক্ট করছে, ঠিক আছে? দিস ইজ হোয়াট দে হ্যাভ ডান। ওকে, গট ইট? এই যে সি লেভেল রাইজ যে প্রেডিক্ট করছে সি লেভেল কত থাকবে, এটা কি মনে হয়? Is it classification problem or it's a regression problem? ঠিক আছে, দেখেন না, clear? Because what he's predicting the sea level. Sea level can be any values, right? Thinking now within a given range. Yes, so that's a regression problem that we were solving. Are we good? Have we understood this one? Nakina, clear? এই যে তোমার ফোন আছে না, কি বলে, I don't know, what do you call this? Xiaomi বলো না নাকি না? Xiaomi ফোন সেট দেখেছো, right?
Fingerprint.
Right, Xiaomi phone set যদি ক্যামেরা অন করো, ঠিক আছে, right? Okay, if it sees your face, ঠিক আছে, it looks at your face and after looking at your face it can predict, ঠিক আছে, it can predict যে তোমার তুমি কি মেল না ফিমেল আর তোমার বয়স কত। মেল না ফিমেল যে প্রেডিক্ট করছে, এটা কি? Is it a classification problem or regression problem?
Classification.
আচ্ছা, আর তোমার এজ যে প্রেডিক্ট করছে, এটা কি?
Regression.
Some regression হবে, ঠিক আছে, রাইট নাকি না? ক্লিয়ার? Is that understandable নাকি না? এখন কি ক্লিয়ার হচ্ছে আস্তে আস্তে?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, very good. হ্যাঁ, এটা হচ্ছে, this is one example like that, ঠিক আছে? Okay, yeah, so I hope this is clear. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
No, sir.
So I hope this is clear to everybody, right? What is classification problem and what's regression problem? ঠিক আছে? Classification and regression both are supervised machine learning problem. Is that okay? নাকি না?
Okay, sir.
ঠিক আছে? Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Classification and regression both are supervised machine learning problem. Okay. So here we are. Let's go back to this one. So supervised learning problem, the problem can be either classification or regression. Classification problems তখনই হবে যখন the outputs are restricted to some discrete set of values. Correct? Outputs are restricted to some discrete set of values. For example, we are asking you to classify whether an email is a spam email or not. এটা কি classification problem না? ইমেলটাকে predict করছে either as a spam or as a regular email, right? You are predicting whether a tumor is malignant or benign. It's a classification problem, no?
Yes, sir.
Either malignant or benign. ঠিক আছে? From the medical records, you're predicting whether a particular pregnancy is a high risk pregnancy or not a high risk pregnancy. That's also a classification problem. Here's an example. Okay, so if you go here, I don't know if you can go. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Here's the iris flower data set. এটা নিয়ে কখন এক সময় আমরা কাজ করব, ঠিক আছে? আমাদের কাছে একটা ধরো ডেটা সেট আছে প্রায় 150 samples of data, এবং এই 150 samples of dataতে কি হয় সেটা হচ্ছে iris হচ্ছে একটা এক ধরনের ফুল, and this kind of flowers there are four there are there are four or three.
Three, sir.
There are three kinds of iris flowers. ঠিক আছে? Iris setosa, iris versicolor, or iris virginica. ঠিক আছে? Okay. এবং এই ডিটেকশনটা কেন করছে, মজার ব্যাপার যে তিনটার কালার প্রায় কাছাকাছি। এটা কালার যদি একটু ডিফারেন্ট দেখাচ্ছে, বাট তারপর কালার না দিয়ে তারা করেছে কি, they measured four things. They measured the petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. ঠিক আছে? So the features are petal length, petal width, sepal length, sepal width. এই চারটা ফিচার দিয়ে, okay, and we have got 150 of these samples. এগুলো দিয়ে they wanted to figure out whether this particular they want to actually come up with a model, ঠিক আছে, that will tell me from these measurements whether it's a iris setosa, iris versicolor, or iris virginica, কোন ধরনের flower স্পেসিটা। ঠিক আছে? Is it clear নাকি না? So we've got 150 data samples, এবং it's supervised machine learning. So you measure four things, and these are the petal length, petal width, sepal length, sepal width, and also you tell is it iris setosa, iris versicolor, or iris virginica, and you then train this data set. Okay, you train this data set, and then figure out just from these features what kind of flower is this one, what kind of iris flower is this one. ঠিক আছে? So what is this? Is it a classification problem or regression problem? Classification. You are predicting it as either iris setosa or iris versicolor or iris virginica. দেখেন এখানে কিন্তু তিনটা। So সবসময় যে y ভ্যালু দুটো হবে তা কিন্তু না, দুইয়ের অধিক হতে পারে, but main thing is it has to be discrete set of values. Are we good নাকি না? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So that's the main idea. Regression problems হচ্ছে the regression algorithms are used when the output we are trying to predict, that is y, have continuous values. Then that's not discrete. That is, they may have any value within a range. ঠিক আছে? For example, imagine we are trying to predict the price of a house from location, size of the area, and the number of rooms. ঠিক আছে? Okay? একটা হাউসের প্রাইস কত, একটা বাড়ি কিনতে চাবো, এটা প্রাইস কত, ঠিক আছে? এবং যে ডেটা সেট আছে সেটা আছে takes these three attributes: location, কোন জায়গায় বাড়িটা, যে বাড়িটা কিনছো সেই বাড়িটা এরিয়া কত, এই বাড়িতে কতগুলো রুম আছে, এই যে তিনটা ফিচার্স নিচ্ছে, and you know the price of that particular house. ঠিক আছে? কত কোটি টাকা এই particular হাউসটা, ঠিক আছে? That's all. ঠিক আছে? And then you use these attributes to predict এই হাউসের প্রাইস কত বা ভ্যালু কত হওয়া উচিত, রাইট? দেখে না ক্লিয়ার? এই যে হাউস প্রাইস প্রেডিকশন করছি, এটা কি regression or classification? Regression, because it can take any values, right? Okay, একটু আগে যেটা এক্সাম্পলটা দেখলাম যে water level, sea water level আমি predict করছি, that's also regression. We are trying to predict the revenue of a company. Revenue of a company is not classification, because we're just trying to predict how much money it's going to make. Okay, it can be any value within the given range, right? So that's regression. That's not classification. I hope it makes sense, Nakina.
Yes, sir.
Everyone's clear the difference between classification and regression?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, here's an example: supervised learning classification. Okay, imagine you have a repository of emails. Some of these emails are spam, some of these emails are not spam. So it's a labeled data set that you have, and you feed it to the learner learns, and it learned a model. Okay, and now if you give new data, okay, that's the new data, new mail আসতো, এখান থেকে দেখে ওই মডেলটা ইউজ করে it will either predict it as not spam or spam. Is that okay? Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So predicting emails as either spam emails or not spam email is an example of classification pattern. Is that okay to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we understand what is classification, right? Good. Okay. Regression অনেকটা এরকম দেখেন this is the output y and the output y can be anything, right? Okay, it cannot be one of the two values or one of the three values. It can be anything. So you can actually create a straight line বের করতে পারেন, which is really the model that you can use to actually predict the price or predict the value of y. Is that okay নাকি না? All right, ঠিক আছে?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So far, I hope we are clear about what is supervised learning. Am I correct, Nakina?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is unsupervised learning? Unsupervised learning কোন ধরনের ডেটা সেটের উপর অ্যাপ্লাই করব?
Unlabeled.
আনলেবেল ডেটা সেটের উপর, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, আনলেবেল তার মানে হচ্ছে আমার কাছে কিছু ডেটা আছে, বাট আই নো নাথিং অ্যাবাউট দিস ডেটা। কোনটা কি? I just want to find some patterns. ঠিক আছে? I just want to know some patterns. Okay. So unsupervised learning algorithms takes a set of data that contains only inputs or features. Okay. And the objective is I just want to find certain patterns in this data. I have no labeling here. I just want to see what different patterns exist. Is that okay, Nakina? Okay. That is called unsupervised learning. Okay. Now, এটার uses কোথায় হতে পারে? It can there are many uses of unsupervised learning. So example that okay, imagine করেন a situation where customers go into a particular shop, buy certain things and go. ঠিক আছে? Just go buy certain things and go. Buy certain things and go, right? And now what you have is you have got a fairly good data set. And in that data set, এক একটা কাস্টমার একটা ট্রানজাকশনে কতগুলো জিনিস কিনেছে। Am I correct নাকি না? Hello? Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand the situation নাকি না?
No, sir.
No,
But-
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
No, sir.
It's fine. I'll clarify it. We can clarify it. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's try to understand this one. Just try to understand, you'll get this one. Okay, imagine a situation where we have a shop. Okay, here's the shop. Okay, let's take a different color. Here's the shop. I can't draw it. Why am I trying to even draw it? Anyway, here's the shop. Okay, and there are customers here. Okay, checkout counter সামনে দাঁড়ানো আছে. Okay, all right. Right, these are the customers. Okay, checkout counter. Now this is the checkout counter, so they're going to check out from here. Okay, এখান থেকে তারা যেসব জিনিসপত্র নিয়েছে এখান থেকে চেক আউট করে বিল করে চলে যাবে। Am I clear নাকি না? So far so good?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
আচ্ছা,
sir.
একটা কাস্টমার যখন চেক আউট কাউন্টার থেকে বের হবে, সে কি একটা প্রোডাক্ট নিয়ে বের হয় নাকি মাল্টিপল প্রোডাক্টও হতে পারে?
Multiple.
Multiple.
একটাও হতে পারে, মাল্টিপলও হতে পারে, তাই না নাকি না? রাইট? ওকে, সো নাও তুমি চিন্তা করো, এখানে যখন প্রতিটা কাস্টমার যাচ্ছে এন্ড চেক আউট করে বের হচ্ছে, এই যে তাদেরকে একটা ট্রানজাকশন ডিটেলস, একটা ট্রানজাকশন ডেটা সেট তৈরি হয়ে যাচ্ছে না? Now,
Yes, sir.
can we not have a transaction data set? We can have a transaction data set, right? নাকি না? Okay, because কে কি কিনছে, তাহলে আমরা এখান থেকে বের করতে পারবো না কাস্টমার নাম্বার 1 সে একবার যখন বের হচ্ছে what are the products he bought, প্রোডাক্ট 1 কি ছিল, প্রোডাক্ট 2 কি ছিল, প্রোডাক্ট 3 কি ছিল, সে কি কি কিনলো, তারপর নেক্সট কাস্টমার যখন কিনলো সে কি কি কিনলো, right? Can we not have that, right? থার্ড কাস্টমার যে থাকলো সে কি কি কিনলো, এরকম করে ডিফারেন্ট কাস্টমার্স একটা ট্রানজাকশনে কি কি প্রোডাক্ট কিনলো। Can we not actually figure this out? Yeah, we can figure this out, right? We can have a data set of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And now can I, but আমি জানি না, মানে এখানে যে আমার কাছে যে কাস্টমার 1 আছে, কাস্টমার 1 এর বিহেভিয়ার কি কাস্টমার 3 এর মতো নাকি 3 এর মতো না? হাউ ডু আই নো দ্যাট? ঠিক আছে, ওকে, ইজ ইট পসিবল টু গ্রুপ দিস কাস্টমার? ক্যান আই ক্লাস্টার দেম? ক্যান আই ফাইন্ড আউট ওকে এখানে কাস্টমারদের বিহেভিয়ার গুলো ডিফারেন্ট, এই কাস্টমার গুলো এরকম আইটেমস পছন্দ করে, এই কাস্টমার গুলো এরকম আইটেমস পছন্দ করে। ক্যান উই ফিগার আউট দিস সর্ট অফ ইন্টারেস্টিং প্যাটার্নস? Is it possible? Do you think so?
Yes, sir. Possible.
Right. But look at this. We do not have a labeled data set. We just simply have the data set. But we can actually cluster them and we can figure out, acha, is there a pattern? Is it different? Okay? এই কাস্টমার গুলো এই ধরনের জিনিস পছন্দ করে, এই কাস্টমার গুলো ওই ধরনের জিনিস বের করে। We can also figure out things like this. This is called association analysis. আচ্ছা, যদি কেউ এটা কিনে, এটার সাথে ইউজুয়ালি ওই প্রোডাক্টও কিনে। Can we figure this out? We can also figure out, this sort of interesting relationship. Usually, যদি কেউ, I don't know, let's say, শার্ট কিনে, সে তার সাথে একটা জিন্সও কিনে, ঠিক আছে? সে ফর এক্সাম্পল হয়ে গেল, ঠিক আছে? রাইট, ওকে, হতেই পারে, তাই না, নাকি না? ক্লিয়ার? Okay, so we can actually find all sorts of very interesting, behavior there, right? And we can use it to actually understand the behavior of a customer, understand the psychology of a customer, and that's what can help us to actually, একটা স্টোরটাকে যে স্টোরটা আছে, এই স্টোরটাকে সাজানো কিভাবে যেতে পারে, all these things we can strategize. If we find out আছে প্রোডাক্ট এ যদি কিনে, ইউজুয়ালি প্রোডাক্ট এর সাথে প্রোডাক্ট বি কিনে, সো প্রোডাক্ট এ আর প্রোডাক্ট বি কি স্টোর রুম, এই স্টোরে কি ডিফারেন্ট জায়গায় থাকবে না কাছাকাছি থাকবে নাকি একসাথে রাখবে?
পাশাপাশি।
Right. So these are the business intelligence that you can actually figure out from these transaction data sets. So you can do all those sort of interesting things. Now you don't have a labeled data set, you have an unlabeled data set, and you can use unsupervised learning to find these sort of very interesting patterns. Is that okay, Nakina? Clear?
Yes.
I hope it makes sense, right, Nakina? Okay. In this course, you learn some unsupervised machine learning algorithm and we'll figure out some of the very interesting things that we can deal with this. Maybe I'll also discuss about this sort of transaction data set. Transaction data set we can figure out different kinds of patterns and stuff like that. Okay, we'll see that.
স্যার ফেসবুক যে আমাদের লোকেশন ট্র্যাক করে আমাদের বিভিন্ন অ্যাড দেখায়, তাহলে স্যার ওটাও কি আনসুপারভাইজড না?
ফেসবুক না, রাইট, ফেসবুক যে আপনারা যে কি ডেটা যে তারা নিচ্ছে, কোন ডেটা যে কি করছে, ইটস ভেরি হার্ড ফর মি টু সে, ঠিক আছে? বাট দে আর ডেফিনেটলি ইউজিং a lot of machine learning algorithms. Some of the big companies, they are constantly using machine learning algorithms to figure out, what you are going to. You'll be surprised. Like I think I was talking with one of my friends, okay, over Facebook that we want to this sort of thing is interesting or not. কিছুক্ষণ পরে আমি দেখলাম ওই ধরনের অ্যাড গুলো আমার ফেসবুক ফিডে আসা শুরু হলো অল্প। So it's very hard to see what kind of data do they all the time they're actually taking in and trying to actually customize. Netflix use করেন না? নেটফ্লিক্সে দেখবেন আপনারা নেটফ্লিক্সে যে ধরনের মুভি দেখেন, মুভি সাজেশনস কিন্তু ওই ধরনের মুভি সাজেশন আসা শুরু করে আপনারটা, রাইট? কাস্টমাইজেশন, রাইট? অ্যামাজন প্রোডাক্টস, okay, so they are using different kinds of unsupervised learning. ঠিক আছে, আমরা আসলে we'll see an example, ঠিক আছে, almost at the end of the almost at the end of the semester, যে একটা রেকমেন্ডার সিস্টেম কেমনে তৈরি করতে পারি, যেখান থেকে ডেটা সেট দেখে depending on the customer we're going to recommend him particular thing that he's likely to buy or not. ঠিক আছে, we'll see that, those sort of examples. ঠিক আছে, okay, right. So we'll learn things like collaborative filtering and stuff. There are certain ideas behind that, how to do that. We'll talk about this when we discuss recommended system. But yes, so machine learning, some sort of machine learning algorithms are constantly working to figure out, understand, and stuff like that. Clear? Is it okay, Nakina? Does anybody have any questions? Is it okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in unsupervised learning, okay, unsupervised learning algorithm takes a set of data that contains only the input and finds structures in the data, like grouping or clustering the data points. right? The algorithms therefore learn the test data that has not been labeled, classified, or categorized it. ঠিক আছে? Okay. So we'll see some examples. I mean, cocktail party problem to বাদ দেই, ঠিক আছে? Let's not worry about that. The unsupervised learning algorithm, আমার কাছে মনে হয়, this is something we have used a lot in মানে classical science, ঠিক আছে? Maybe আমরা unsupervised learning use করি নাই, টার্মটাই কখনো ইউজ করা হয় না, ঠিক আছে? But we have actually used it in science like chemistry তে। এটা কি? What is this?
Periodic table, sir.
Periodic table. Periodic tableটা তো একটা খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং জিনিস দেখছেন। Periodic table এ আপনারা তো সবাই এই কেমিস্ট্রি পড়ে আসছেন, তাই না? Okay. In periodic table, you'll see that group 1 elements have certain properties and group 2 elements have similar properties, right? These elements have some properties that are common to them, and these ones have some properties that are common to them. These have some properties that are common to them, right? Halogens and all these things, right? Halogens of this, right? Okay. The tableটাকে এমন ভাবে সাজানো হয়েছে, doesn't it look like we have some sort of cluster করা হচ্ছে, যেগুলো common বা similar সেগুলোকে একসাথে রাখা হচ্ছে বা things like that? Doesn't it look like that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In fact, it can be done, and people have done this one before. যেখানে হচ্ছে different, elements নিয়ে elements different property use করে unsupervised learning algorithm use করে দেখাইছে যে periodic table যেরকম ওরকমই প্রায় একটা টেবিল তৈরি করা যায়, ঠিক আছে? Which is interesting, ঠিক আছে? Okay, so this is unsupervised learning. Anybody knows this one? What is this picture? This is taken from
sir.
physics.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have a question regarding that periodic table.
Yeah.
Sir, এখানে suppose এটা আমরা unsupervised learning বলতেছি, it's because যে similar properties এর element গুলোকে আমরা same ভাবে
আমরা যেমন for example lithium, right? Lithium is an element, right? Lithium এ অনেক attribute হয়তো বা মেজার করা হচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে?
কিন্তু স্যার আমি যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম সেটা হচ্ছে সাপোজ আমি একটা এলিমেন্ট x ডিসকভার করলাম, if it's metal and if it's fall in one category, সাপোজ ডিসক্রিট যদি ভ্যালুটা হয়, সাপোজ এটা যদি মেটাল নাকি নন মেটাল, দুইটা অপশন আছে। তো সেক্ষেত্রে মেটাল হইলে এটা গ্রুপ 1 এ পড়তেছে, মেটাল 2 তে হইলে এটা রাইট সাইডে পড়তেছে। ইন দ্যাট কেস এটা কি স্যার সুপারভাইজড লার্নিং এর মধ্যে পড়ে না?
সুপারভাইজড লার্নিং এ যেটা আপনার কি বলে ডিসক্রিট যেটাকে বলছেন আপনি, হ্যাঁ, সেটা হচ্ছে ইফ দ্যাট ইজ দ্য থিং যেটা আপনি প্রেডিক্ট করতে চান। আপনি কি মেটাল কি প্রেডিক্ট করতে চান? এটা যে ব্যাপারটা ধরেন, wait. I think this is important that you understand it. Metal, whether this is metal or not metal, এটা যদি তোমার target value থাকে, right? This is what you want to predict. ঠিক আছে? তার মানে you have got a lot of features. These are the different features. অনেক কিছু থাকতে পারে, আর this is what you want to predict. তাহলে এটা তো supervised learning হয়ে গেল, right? But আমি বলছি যে if I'm not doing that, I'm saying even if whether something is a metal or not, that is also a feature, and we have got a lot of features and there is no y values, ঠিক আছে? And so we're simply using these features to actually see is there any group behavior or not, can I categorize in different groups or things like that. Yeah, is that okay? So these two are two different things. In this example, you want to predict whether it's a metal or not. In this example, you don't want to predict whether it's a metal. You're just noting whether this is a metal or not. That's all you're doing. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these are two different things. I hope I made myself clear, right, Nakina?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Achha. Anybody knows what this is?
So stars and types.
Right. So if you know a little bit of astrophysics, you probably know this diagram is called the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. ঠিক আছে? Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, on the y-axis you've got luminosity of the star, on the x-axis you've got the temperature of the star. ঠিক আছে? এবং ডিপেন্ডিং করে এটা এক একটা স্টার কোথায় পড়ছে তাকে ওভাবে ক্লাসিফাই ক্যাটাগরাইজ করা হয়েছে। লেটস সে ফর এক্সাম্পল দিস stars are called red supergiant stars. These are called red giant stars. এরকম নাম শুনেছেন কখনো? red giant, red supergiant, blue giant stars, white dwarf stars, এগুলো নাম শুনেছেন? Okay, right? এভাবে scientists have, and this is the main sequence stars. Okay, this is how the the scientists have been able to categorize them. Now it could happen যে আমি যদি আসলে different stars এর ডিফারেন্ট ফিচার্স যদি করি রিড করতে থাকে, ঠিক আছে, ডিফারেন্ট ফিচার্স লাইক ফর এক্সাম্পল স্টার্টার সাইজ কত, স্টার্টার কোর টেম্পারেচার কত, স্টার্টার সারফেস টেম্পারেচার কত, ঠিক আছে, স্টার্টার এইজ কত মেবি, ঠিক আছে, ওকে, রাইট, স্টার্টার স্টেলার কালার কি, ঠিক আছে, ডিফারেন্ট ফিচার্স যদি আমি মেশার করি, and then I can run this unsupervised learning to actually also figure out different group, different clusters তৈরি করা যায় কিনা, ঠিক আছে, and we may get different clusters as well. So you see, এইরকম unsupervised learning maybe আমরা exactly learning algorithm use করিনি, but এটাকে আমরা science we have always done that. We wanted to always classify different things, group different things, তাই না? Maybe we have done it manually, ঠিক আছে, but now we can actually also use unsupervised learning techniques to do those sort of things as well, ঠিক আছে। এখন unsupervised learning algorithm যদি ইউজ করি আমরা কি এক্স্যাক্টলি এরকম প্যাটার্নই পাবো? Not necessarily, ঠিক আছে, we might get different other patterns as well, ঠিক আছে, but anyway, but did you understand the point? So unsupervised learning এর main জিনিসটা কি? We do not have any why, we do not have any output, we just have data, we just wanted to find out different groups that are available in that data. Is that okay, Nakina? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? আপনি চিন্তা করে দেখেন how nice it is, ঠিক আছে, then imagine করে দেখেন, although this is the Hartsprung Russell diagram, but let's use this example, this diagram as an example. আপনি অ্যামাজন থেকে বই কিনছেন, হ্যাঁ, এখন let's imagine Amazon already figured out যে এরকম different clusters আছে, ঠিক আছে, okay, এখন you are a new customer who has come over here and they figured out যে আপনার different features থেকে, features মানে different things, age, gender, কোন লোকেশন থেকে আসছেন, all those থেকে বের করছে যে আপনি হচ্ছেন you belong to this category. এই ক্যাটাগরিতে বিলং করলে তখন দেখা যাবে যে আপনাকে ওই ক্যাটাগরি মানুষরা যেসব বইগুলো পড়ে ওগুলোই সাজেস্ট করা শুরু করবে। Is that okay? Because you are more likely you're belonging to that particular group. Is that okay? So you'd be interested in those books that these people usually study. Is that understandable, Nakina? Clear? That's what we can do as well sometimes. Is that making sense, guys? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm running out of time. So I think I'll stop here. আচ্ছা, একটা কাজ করবেন আপনারা নেক্সট ক্লাস আসার আগে। Okay, so I hope you understood what's supervised learning and what's unsupervised learning. I hope you understood what's classification problem and what's a preparation problem, right, Nakina? Is that all right?
Yes,
yes,
sir.
Okay, next class আসার আগে একটা ছোট হোমওয়ার্ক আপনাদের। হোমওয়ার্ক মানে it's not an assignment, you don't need to submit, it's something you have to do, ঠিক আছে, okay, right. এখন in this particular course, okay, I think like আমরা আপাতত I can stop the recording because we don't need it, it's not the lecture, ঠিক আছে।